Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you, Laura?
I am a right hen. How do you like it? She only talks to my cat by going, Ziggy, Ziggy. It's like, oh, come on. I actually don't talk like that.
I've actually got this thing, though. See, if I'm around people with different accent to me, I can't help but, like, take on their accent.
Oh, no, I totally do that. But it's just the Gemma Collins version of speaking to my cat.
I'm not saying I can do it well. I'm not saying I can do it well. It's the same when I spend any time with my family down in Leeds. Like, I will, like, leave a weekend there speaking like I'm from Yorkshire, going down to pub for pint.
Except
like, I can't help it.
Do people in Yorkshire say Yorkshire?
Well, probably not. I don't know. Yorkshire. Yeah, I know.
But I think there's something to be said for a little bit of masking in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, not masking as in like mirroring.
Mirroring,
like
yes. Oh, yeah. Like,
totally.
I cannot help but just, like... It's almost like a fascination with people's voices. Like, I just get pulled in and I'm just like, I want to do that voice.
So, speaking of voices, we are so grateful to all of you that have joined our campaign and used yours to make much needed noise for the cause. So what we have done, as you will have seen, is started a campaign called It Only Takes a Minute, ADHD AF. And also, we are ADHD AF. So what we've asked you to do is to send us a minute clip in either a video or voice note to us via DM so that we can all have a say, telling the world what we want them to know about ADHD.
Yeah, we've done our videos, which are on our grid on our Instagram, and you can find them on Facebook as well, with what we want to say to the world about ADHD. So if you're not sure what you want to say, have a look at ours and maybe that'll give you some idea.
And yeah, just let it come from the heart. Tell the world what you want to say, but please, it can only be a minute. So we won't be able to accept multiple voice notes. We can only accept the first one. And the same with video, you've only got a minute. It cannot be longer, just so that it's fair and we can get through them all, because as ever, it is just the two of us and we can barely keep up as it is. But we really want people's voices to be heard.
Yeah.
We need to unite.
The more voices, the more awareness, the more change, you know, all of this.
So thank you for those that have, and those that haven't, send us a DM. It only takes a minute.
It only takes a minute, girl.
So,
takes a minute, girl.
do you know, Take That were the first band that I ever saw live.
Really?
I was 11 and I was in love with Robbie Williams so much. And when he left, a boy at school ripped his head out of a poster that was in my desk, you know, when you flip up the desk, and I opened it and I bawled my frigging eyes out. But, you know, it wasn't just me with my emotional problems. There were helplines set up. Do you remember that? It was a devastating and sad time.
It was.
So, anyway, we digress. Let's dive into what is going to be, well, it's basically the podcast episode that I don't want to make.
Yeah.
And we've talked about it from the start, and people have been asking us for 3 months to make this episode, and I've dragged my heels, and now I'm giving in, and this is going to be very triggering for people. So, yeah, handle with care. And if you are struggling with eating disorders, eating issues, exercise, obesity, any of this stuff, body image, like, please reach out and get the help that you need.
Yes.
And let's do it.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF, ADHD as females, the podcast.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
Hi, I'm Laura, and we are ADHD AF. Seriously. We are two neurodivergent neighbours who moved to the same street at the same time, at the same age, with the same undiagnosed disability. What are the chances?
Since discovering the enormous impact ADHD has had on our lives and the horrifying numbers of missing undiagnosed females, it has become our mission to make some serious noise.
We want to use our voices to raise awareness, break the stigma, and share our experiences in the hope that they help others.
So join us for a chat, or as it's called up here in Aberdeen, a blether.
Trigger warning, we will be covering some really sensitive topics, so please do have a read of the description of each episode before listening.
It's important to note that we are not medical professionals. We're not therapists or coaches. We're not qualified to offer advice or support. What we will do is share our experiences alongside resources and information from professionals. We will talk over each other and we will go off topic and forget the point mid-sentence.
We are both assigned female at birth, which means that we can only speak from the experience of life as AFAB people. However, ADHD AF is an inclusive space. Whatever your gender, you are very welcome here.
Yes, you are.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF.
Okay, so we just want to start by saying if you are struggling with an eating disorder, then there is help out there. So one of the charities that is out there is one called BEAT. So if you need help, their website is beateatingdisorders.org.uk.
So we're going to start off with just some facts, statements that we found online. And I want to start with this statement from Shauna P. Reinblatt, MD, who asked the question, are eating disorders related to ADHD? And Shauna says that attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is a disorder characterised by impulsivity, hyperactivity, and inattention. Binge eating behaviour is often impulsive and is a hallmark of the two eating disorders, binge eating disorder and bulimia nervosa, both of which are associated with significant health impairment. We also have research that has demonstrated that individuals with ADHD have a greater risk for developing binge eating disorder or bulimia nervosa. In another quote, research has demonstrated that individuals with ADHD have greater risk for developing binge eating disorder or bulimia nervosa than their peers without ADHD. A study conducted found that girls with ADHD were almost 4 times more likely to have an eating disorder than those without ADHD. Another empirical study found that 11% of women with ADHD compared to 1% of women without reported a history of bulimia nervosa.
To go on from that, I've got a quote here. I've actually lost where it's from, so apologies. That says, adults and children with ADHD have been reported in both epidemiologic and clinical studies to have a significantly greater risk of also presenting with obesity. Conversely, those who are overweight/obese also have been found to have a greater likelihood of presenting with ADHD. In treatment-seeking obese adults, one study found that 25% met criteria for ADHD, with a higher prevalence in the most obese. In overweight youth, studies have found up to 50% of youths treated for overweight had ADHD, while 20% of youths treated for ADHD were overweight. A large study replicated these findings and reported that those not treated with stimulants were 1.5 times more likely to be overweight, whereas those treated with stimulants were 1.6 times more likely to be underweight versus children without these diagnoses. The risk of obesity with ADHD also holds true longitudinally, as shown in a study, a follow-up study of males with ADHD who are 2 times more likely to be obese. So there's that. And finally, eating disorders are a serious medical condition. Approximately 15% of males and females with eating disorders will lose their life to the illness, often through cardiac arrest or suicide. Recovery is possible, though, for patients with ADHD who have an eating disorder, provided that the right team of professionals treat both. Your life is worth the fight.
Amen.
Okay, so the reason why I didn't want to dive into this topic that everyone's been wanting to talk about forever and ever is because I have battled bulimia for a lot of my life. And I didn't want to talk about it because it carries so much shame for me. It's not just like in terms of it being disgusting, in inverted commas, it's also wasteful, which screams of privilege and carries a hell of a lot of shame. But partly because we realise that our honesty is helping people feel validated who otherwise felt so alone, like so many of us ADHDers do. We think we're the only person. And so I think I've realised the value of it. And the other part is because Dr. James Brown, I know we're always banging on about him and Alex, but it was their podcast that inspired us to do ours. And in one of the episodes, Dr. James Brown shares his struggles with binge eating disorder. And he goes into quite a lot of detail as well. Yeah. And I remember when I listened to that episode being really, really shocked and a bit like, bloody hell, that's brave. Like, Jesus, how is he saying that? Like, how can you admit to that? But then in the same breath, thinking to myself, like, thank you for doing that, because it makes me feel better. Yeah. So I can directly see the value in it. So I am owning it. And I think in particular, now that we've been doing a bit of research and finding out about this topic, what I now realise is this blatantly obvious correlation with ADHD. So I know that I'm not going to be alone in that, and that it's something that a lot of us ADHDers struggle with, and it's part of the ADHD, or can be, you know, a really common comorbidity. And having had a lot of treatment in the past for it, that was the focus, and instead my ADHD went undetected. And that's one of our massive gripes, isn't it? Is that they're not looking at the root cause, they're just treating the other thing. Well, anyway, what would you like to say, Dawn?
So I guess off the back of that, with speaking to Dr. James Brown, it brought binge eating disorder to my attention. And it wasn't something that I'd really known about or paid much attention to before. And so I looked into it a little bit, and it's helped me discover things about myself and my eating habits and things that I didn't really know existed, and helps make a lot of sense on the way my disordered eating is.
Yes. So would you say that you have binge eating disorder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Based on what I've read and my findings, I did one of those tests online. It's the same one I've used for ADHD. I can't remember where it's from, but it said that I am suffering moderate to severe binge eating disorder, which I was like, oh, wow, interesting. But it makes sense. If I look at my eating habits and my weight loss struggles and my entire life when it comes to food, my relationship with food, it's blatantly there.
So what do you think, like, what do you want to share about that? Like, what is your experience? What is it?
So I love food. Fucking love food. So much. And I can go from not eating when I'm hyper focused, I can forget about eating, and then to binging.
Because you've not realised you're hungry because you're hyper focused.
Yeah, all of those things. Or just having food in front of me and the inability to stop eating. Like for this week example, like I've been trying hard to be good in diet, and I can do it with my prep diet meals if I'm organised and I have things set out for what I can and can't eat. But if anything additional is put in front of me, that I find it really hard to just ignore that. And this week I kind of fell off the wagon, and I went to the shop and I thought, my period, this is why I've fallen off the wagon, is because I was due on my period and all I want is food. So I went to the shop, I bought a pack of 4 pork pies because I was really hungry and I hadn't had any breakfast. So I bought a pack of 4 pork pies. I bought a 6-pack of mini Cadbury's chocolate bars, which are like kind of, you remember the animal bars?
Yes.
Like they're just thin.
Thin
it's
ones.
like a Milky Way, but milk chocolate. So I bought a pack of 6 of those, and I thought, you know, that'll help me kind of eat throughout the day and I can have my little chocolate fix. And I bought a bag of squashies, you know, the drumstick squashy sweets.
Yeah.
By the time I'd got from the shop back to my desk, I'd eaten 3 of those pork pies. And the shop was a 2-minute car ride. I'd eaten 3 of those pork pies. Got to my desk, ate the fourth pork pie. Then I opened the chocolate bar. I just took 2 out and I put the rest back in my bag. I ate the 2 chocolate bars. Immediately, without even thinking, I went back into my bag and ate another 2. Yeah. And immediately, without thinking about that, I went back into my bag and ate another 2. Finished the 6 chocolate bars. Probably within about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I proceeded to open the bag of squashies. I ate the majority of them. put them away, and within about half an hour, I'd finish them as well. And I just, even though the whole time my head's saying, you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this, you're not even that hungry, like you feel a little bit sick because you've eaten so much, I have the inability to stop myself from eating.
Yeah.
Because I know it's there.
Yeah.
And it's like, ooh, it's there, I need it. So I don't have crisps or snacks or anything in the house because I can't control myself when it comes to food. I'll go to the shop, I'll buy a 6-pack of crisps. By the time I've got home, I've eaten 6 packets of crisps. Like, if it's there, I can't do it. If I go out for meals with people, fucking, tapas, any sharing food is just the worst, because one, my brain's like, you need your money's worth. You need to get like your fair share of food. And two, when it comes to like starters and stuff, I will fill my face with starters, forgetting that there's a main course still to come. And then I'm like, oh shit, now there's a main course. And then I'll stuff the main course down my face as well, because, well, I'm paying for it. I have to eat it. And that's part of it as well. But I don't want to be the shameful one and not eat. Like, there's a lot of shame and stuff in there. It's like, I can't not eat my main course. Like, not everyone's seen how much. Well, I don't think everyone's seen how much I ate. They maybe did, but fucking hell, I can go at those starters. But I just, if it's there, if it's in front of me, I just don't have any control. Whereas you see people, I'll be like, I'll have one of those, and I'll have one of those, and I'll have one of those, and that's enough. I'll wait for my main course to come.
Yeah.
I can't do that.
Yeah.
I can't. I just have to keep going until, like, I can't go any further.
I feel a bit like, as you're talking, I keep getting like these like waves of worry about, like, I don't know, like responsibility. And I feel like I want to say, like, you know, when we're talking, like I've talked about losing weight in the past, and you're talking about, you know, being good and things that you can't eat and things like that. And I just want to take a moment to be responsible and really call out like what we mean by that language.
Yeah.
So well, I can't speak for you. At the start of the year, I was very overweight. So I had one of those scales, and I have an app, and everything was in the red pretty much. I was right in it. I was right at the top of being overweight. So I've been doing...
I will add that I don't think we should put so much pressure on what scales, BMI, all of these things. It's how you feel in yourself, I think, is super important.
Yes, but the point I'm trying to make before that is, like, at no point are we talking about being restrictive on ourselves for diet culture.
Yes.
Or to be thin. That's the point I'm trying to make. So yes, I understand what you're saying, but what I'm trying to talk about is, as a person who has struggled with eating disorders, like, I'm talking about being responsible, and it's not about a food's a sin, or you have to be thin, or I have to fit in a size whatever, or beach body, cringe in inverted commas. I just wanted to get that out there. That's not what we are talking about.
Yeah.
We are talking about feeling good in ourselves, and at no point are we talking about pushing or denying or being unhealthy weight or trying to meet unreasonable beauty standards or anything dangerous or toxic like that. You should be who you are. And, you know, if you are bigger, that's absolutely fine. There is no judgment. All that we're talking about when we're reading those stats, for example, is obesity in terms of danger to health.
Yeah.
We're not talking about aesthetic here. I just wanted to get that out there.
No, of course. Yeah. And I think that's a really important point to make. When I speak about being good, what I mean is just being healthy.
Yes, yeah.
My disordered eating is not healthy.
Yes.
It's not healthy.
Yeah, there's not a lot of nutrition in pork pies, sadly.
Sadly. Pork pie. Pork and pickle. Oh my God.
No.
But yeah, I speak about good foods and bad foods, and it is just about health. Like, I'm not getting any younger, and I want to have a healthy body so that I can enjoy my life, live a longer life, and
without
a happy
health
life.
Complications.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I want for myself. But my issues surrounding food mean that the impulses lead me to eat the bad things, the things that aren't so good for my health. And a lot of those things, and binging on those things. And then it then leads to struggles with, you know, my health. Like, I have a bad back. I have sore knees. Like the other day I was walking out, got in my car, and I was like, oh, my hip's sore. And I know it's because I'm carrying excess weight, and I could be healthier, and I could and a healthier means, you know, carrying less of that excess weight.
Yeah. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So please know that it's about health. That's what we mean. So from my end, it's really, really hard to talk about. But I guess, so, like, you know, I was like 14 and I was really tall and just kind of bigger and like curvier. And when other people were still sort of had relatively childish bodies. So I felt very self-conscious about my body then. And then obviously now knowing what we now know about ADHD, all of that other stuff, self-worth, etc., blah, 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 you know, was a recipe for disaster. And this is a ridiculous story, ridiculous. But I found out about bulimia watching a talk show, like an American talk show.
Jerry.
No, it wasn't that one. But and I remember saying to the person I was with, "What does that mean?" And they were like, "Oh, it means, you know, you sort of throw up what you eat." And I was like, "What? Like how? Like how?" And they said, again, I'm trying to choose my words very, very carefully. And I remember thinking, "Oh, that's a fucking great idea.
Yeah.
If that works, that's absolutely genius." And then that was that. So I was 14, and what's funny is that it's taken various different forms in my life, and that's what's funny about it. So there are times when it's been more prevalent and it hasn't. There's been times where I have genuinely, foolishly, because it's insidious, you know, horrible infliction, I can't think of the words, disorder, in which I thought that I was in control of it. Like I was making the decision, you know, I'm going to go and do this thing. This is a great idea. There's been times when I've done it to literally punish myself. There's been times when I've done it as some kind of means to have control in situations where I felt out of control. It's taken on so many different life forms because it's been there for such long periods of my life.
Yeah.
And what I can honestly say, in hindsight now, is that it's been the last time it was bad, and like I say, I am better now. It was a few years ago, and I remember thinking, like, I'm going to die, and not thinking it like in terms of like, oh my God, you know, I'm so malnourished, or something's going to happen to my heart, because often, like, people that have bulimia, they are normal weight.
Yeah.
So it wasn't so much that in the health aspect, like I was going to die, but it was the compulsion, the impulse to do it was so severe and so regular that I was, in my brain, I was genuinely afraid. I was like, I can't live like this. I'm not going to survive this.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I don't seem to have any control over myself. And when you have an eating disorder, that's like the most basic thing is going to, you know, you have to eat every day, like multiple times a day.
Yeah.
If you have no control, or that part of living, of existence is a problem, like, how do you exist? And it's a really, really dark and horrible thing. And yeah, I'm so sad for anybody who is going through that. And I'm so sad that I didn't get the right help, basically. And even if I'd have got the right help, with lack of awareness about ADHD, there's every chance that I would have just got the right help and it just been solely focused on the eating disorder, whereas actually it's the impulsivity and just feeling trapped, like, you know, like the food or having to eat, or the fact that every time you do something fun, it's going to a restaurant. Everything revolves around food, like, all the time. And there's been times in my life where that has just driven me up the wall and just made me feel so trapped. You know, eating with other people, they're watching what you eat, you have to be, you know, this whole thing. And it's just so horrible. But yeah, for the most part, what I see is that it was my ADHD. Really, it was a comorbidity of ADHD, dealing with anxiety, etc., and all of those feelings. So yeah, if that's you, please feel free to share our experiences. As your experience, as ever, we are only sharing our own experiences.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just, it's been weeks that I've put off saying this, isn't it? And it's like, and it's really addressing the shame. And what we're trying to do is take the stigma and the shame out of ADHD.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have to be brave and apply that to this thing that I've been so ashamed of since I was a child and tried to keep a secret, because other people have spoken out about it and it has been so inspirational to me. I know Fern Cotton talked about it on her podcast, Happy Place, and I remember being wow, like, thank you for doing that. So I'm passing the baton, or the baton's been passed and I've done it. So anyway,
Well,
can I go and lie down now?
I'm proud of you. It's not an easy thing to talk about at all.
No.
Like, putting yourself out there and talking about these things, it's not easy. So big up, respect, Laura.
Thanks. So, where do we go from here? Like, what is your, we've talked, so we've got binge eating disorder and bulimia nervosa are incredibly common amongst ADHDers. We don't know much about anorexia and other type of controlling or impulsive behaviors around food. As ever, we can only speak from our own experiences. So that's not to invalidate anybody who is struggling with a different kind of eating disorder. It's just, we're not doctors or therapists or specialists or anything. We're just talking about our experiences and what we know.
Yeah.
So I think it's a funny old thing. Like, as an adult now, it really, the shift has come. And I know, completely off-piste because that's how my brain works. I was telling you about that documentary, the Woodstock 99 thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the women at that festival were treated really fucking badly. And it was just like looking into this time capsule of like everything that I fucking hate.
Yeah.
So it was like new metal. Sorry, anybody who likes it, but fucking hell, give me strength. And these guys are like, show us your tits. And then all these girls are getting groped. And it just brought so much back to me about that time and the whole idea of the idea of what, of the ideal body was, thigh gap, hips jutting out, low slung jeans and little denim skirts that are like 2 inches long, just about covering your non-existent bum cheeks. And all of that, how it fed in, how the culture fed in, is that we had to sort of shrink ourselves to be attractive. And thankfully, thank fucking God, we've come a long way since then.
Yeah.
And that was the good thing about watching that program, is like, we're not there now. We've made huge strides, and there are so many amazing women out there using their platforms for body positivity to show that, people like Helen Hansen, for example. She's a great example. She shared that amazing reel where she's talking about sitting in a bikini and not worrying, and there's no such thing as a beach body. Take your fucking body to the beach, full stop. And thank God for that. So we salute everyone who's doing that, because we are all different shapes and sizes, and it's about being healthy and trying to look after yourself. But as we've said in our previous episode, self-care is really difficult for ADHDers.
And it's super hard in the society that we live in, with the pressures that are around us everywhere to look a certain way.
Yeah.
It's extremely hard. Like, I suffer from issues surrounding my body and trying to love myself, and I'm doing my best to do so, but God, I struggle.
Yeah.
I really do. And it isn't helped with, other people making comments and saying things over the years. Like, that really beats you down, how you feel about yourself. And then on top of that, when you have this issue with eating and being able to eat certain, in a way that would be deemed normal and not binge, like, that just like shoots you down even further. And then that just affects your self-esteem, because it's like, well, you know what you need to do to be healthier, why aren't you doing it? And then that just affects your mental health even further, because you can't do the things that to help yourself.
And then it's a cycle as well. Like, if you start to restrict yourself in what you eat, then you are more likely to binge, for example. And as we know, our brains are lacking in dopamine and like sugar and things like that. Get the dopamine going, but then you've got all of the shame, and we've already got the reserves of shame. We've got them backed up. So like, the cycle just goes round and round and round. So
And comparing yourself to others as well, like that's a really difficult thing, looking at other people, and I find it really difficult to not compare myself to people. Like I really do. And even the body positivity people out there, the people that are larger that I can maybe compare my body to like easier, I look at them and I still put myself down, even though I'll see them as bigger. I'll be like, yeah, but they've got nicer skin than me, or their roles are in a different place.
Yes,
and
I'm queen of that.
Yeah. So I'll look at someone.
Their body fat is distributed better than my body fat.
And that's the thing. Like, you still find ways to compare yourself, and it's just like, well, because they've got a tan, like their skin looks better than mine, and they can hold their weight better than I can. Like, it doesn't matter. You're always going to find things to compare yourself to,
and especially people, ADHDers, that have low self-worth. So it's already there. It doesn't really matter what it is. We're going to find it very easy to put ourselves down and have somebody held on a pedestal above us, kind of thing, because we feel like we're shit at everything. That's
it. And then people have said things over the years that like have affected my mental health as well, like negatively about my shape, my size, and it's one of those things that plays on your mind.
Yeah.
Like, I've had comments before, because I am a little bit bigger, and because I'm covered in tattoos and colour my hair, like I get people, and this is not okay, because one, it's not nice saying it to me and putting me in a box, but you're actually being mean to other people at the same time. Like, one of the things that people say to me that really grinds my gears and upsets me is they say that I look butch, and they say that I look like a butch lesbian. Not only are you offending every single fucking lesbian out there, because you're saying that this is a stereotype of what one looks like, like that in itself is wrong, but like
any lesbian, straight, pansexual, what fucking ever would be lucky to look like you, Dawn.
But you know what I mean? It's like that thing where it's just like, well, you look like this because of the way that your body is, because of the shape of your body, and that plays on your mind a lot. And like, in a way, it's made me like change the way I am, as in like, oh, I need to look more feminine so that people don't think this about me, and I need to do this, and I need to do that, and I need to do the other, and it's just like, I need to change myself. I'm like, maybe I should get fillers, maybe I should do this, and it all leads down that road, which it shouldn't. Whereas now I'm slowly, and it's still a struggle, but I am slowly learning to accept myself and own that fucking butch lesbian look.
That's incredible.
If that's what I look like, then fuck it. I don't care. Like, that's not offensive to me.
It's not offensive in any way.
If you think I look like a lesbian, that is not offensive
How
to me.
is that an insult?
Like, come at me with something better, because I'm not offended.
Happy to look like a lesbian.
Whatever.
Because what does a lesbian look like?
Exactly.
What
It's a ridiculous thing to say, but
yeah, like, I feel like, like I'm always wearing a hat, or always have like an outfit on or something. Like, for me, it's like a reminder to take up space.
Yeah.
Because for such a long time, for most of my life, I've wanted to be smaller. I've wanted to be shorter. I've wanted to be thinner. Just diminish, disappear, as small as I can get. And at 5'8", I ain't very small. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a reminder to be like, no, I'm here. And I'm going to stand up tall, and I'm going to take up space. And it's been such a long time and a long process of coming to terms with that. I remember being in a club at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was in DC10, and I was dancing. I kind of realised that I was kind of making myself smaller. And I remember just standing there and thinking to myself, no, like, take up the fucking space. Like, stand up tall and put your shoulders out and be the size that you are.
Hell yes.
So yeah, God love a 5 a.m. revelation, hey? What, I think it's really difficult in terms of like tips and tricks. I don't think as ever that we are very qualified to give them.
No.
So, well, we're not qualified at all to give them. And we've been told off for saying that we know nothing, because we are experts by experience.
We are.
But in terms of responsibility, it would be irresponsible of us to be dishing out advice. But lots of people do suggest things like, if you struggle with self-care, again, if you've not listened to our self-care episode, I believe it's number 3.
Yeah.
So actually preparing the right food and...
Well, what are the things you do for yourself to help yourself when it comes to diet and exercise?
Well, so when I started this year in a very, 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 very dark place.
Yeah.
I got COVID over Christmas, and it was the cherry on top of just shit times.
Yeah.
And I lost a friend to cancer last year. One of my best friends. So it was just really, really horrible times. And it was kind of like just now or never, like realization at the start of the year, having been shut in the house for 10 days and not seeing anybody over Christmas, was just like, right, Laura, like you need to start thinking about your health.
Yeah.
Like that could have been you, you know, and you're not getting any younger and you're just drowning in self-loathing. So what can you do? And I saw this thing on TikTok, which was a 75-day challenge.
Yeah.
Now, in true ADHD fashion, there is the 75-day hard and the 75-day soft. And the 75-day hard is absolutely fucking ridiculous. And nobody should be doing that unless you're like an Olympic athlete.
Yeah.
But of course I went, well, I'm going to do the 75-day hard. Like if I'm exercising, it's go hard or go home. I'm having it.
Okay.
And I suddenly realized that is what I've done my whole life, is like in terms of exercise, is like go hard and then it's unsustainable.
Yeah.
So it's like, right, now we know going into your 39th year that doesn't work. How about trying a different approach? So I went for the 75-day soft, which is much more manageable, but I made up my own rules. So within that, as I realised I was so unwell in every fucking aspect of my life that I would tick like all boxes. So each day I had to do a headspace meditation. I had to read, or rather listen to, an audiobook, a chapter of self-help. I had to, do whatever I needed to do with work, with my course or whatever, obviously, but I mean, for myself, for my own body and mind, etc. What was the other thing? I was listening to a podcast at night and I was exercising, trying to hit my 10K steps. Good. And that was it, I think, wasn't it? And because I know that I can't, or I struggle to keep things up, I basically took little videos of the things that I was doing. I put them all together because I'm a friggin' nerd. And I put it on TikTok, which I have like 0 followers because I don't understand it. And then I made it private. And it was literally like you and 2 other friends and a couple of girls I know from a million years ago that were following me. And because I'd said I would do it, that's what made me do it. And I did it. So I did the full 75 days and I felt amazing for it. And from that point, I've wanted to do it again, but life. So I am going to get back into it when I get back from holiday because it just kept me in check. Whereas journaling. Journaling was one of my things. I haven't done any of it. I haven't done any of it. Like, I still walk about and I'm eating relatively healthily, but I haven't been meditating. I haven't been journaling. I haven't been listening to things. All I've been doing is like hyper-focusing on this or the event.
But you're still doing well. You've done well. Yeah. And once things settled down a little bit.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing, is what it taught me, that experience taught me, was that I actually looked forward to the feeling that I felt after exercise.
Yeah.
And I'd never really got that far before. And what I did was I learned about what I can do and what I can't do. I'm never going to go to the gym. Unfortunately, I'm still too self-conscious and I'm not outdoorsy and adventurous in the sense that you are. I can walk and I can run, but I can't climb mountains. I'm too uncoordinated. I'm too nesh and heat sensitive to get in the sea every day. I can only do it sometimes. So it was really, I work out at home. And I do this hilarious dance workouts with Caleb Marshall. I've made a whole playlist and this really old workout video because I know I can do it. Yeah. And so that I can do, and I can do it in my own home, in my own time.
And it's what works for you.
What works, yeah.
I guess like I'm a little bit different. Like I am quite adventurous and I like doing my outdoorsy stuff and whatnot. But my problem is, and it's that motivation. So what I've learned is essentially body doubling. It's all about accountability for me. If I make plans with someone, then I will follow through. Like I like doing adventures and stuff with people. I'm not very good. I'm fine doing stuff by myself when I'm doing it, but it's the whole process of getting from position A into position B. And that's where people come in to help me.
What about, though? Because obviously it was the accountability of posting that on TikTok that made me keep going.
Well, of course.
So would that work for you?
I did my 100 swims last year. So for charity last year, I did 100 dukes, what we call them up here when you just dip into the sea. I did 100 dukes consecutively for 100 days to try and help with my mornings with getting out of bed. And I stuck at it. But the reason I stuck at it was because of accountability.
So there we go.
And that was because every single day I posted a video of me going into the sea. And I raised money for charity in the process. I raised $2,500 for Mental Health Aberdeen.
Fantastic.
And it's massively about accountability for me. So if I make plans with people, I guess I could, the TikTok challenge
That's
thing
what I mean, because
may
then
work.
Means if somebody can't come and do something with you, that doesn't mean that you don't have any accountability to get you out. But if you start doing something that you've said you'll do and you have to post about it, then maybe.
Yeah, if there's people watching, then yes.
Yeah.
But if it was just private and there was only a couple of people, I wouldn't do it.
You wouldn't do it?
Nah, no way. It would need to be like something big, like a charity or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's really about accountability to me. If I make plans with someone, then there's more likelihood that I'm going to do it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And the other thing I was going to say was about eating habits as well. Like, I find it really helpful for myself not to have snacks and food in the house because it's too much of an impulse for me if it's there. And I know that's not easy for everybody, because if you've got family, if you've got kids, then it's obviously a lot harder. But because I live on my own, well, I've got cats, but I'm not going to eat their cat food, am I? So they're fine. Although I have eaten Dreamies once before.
Why?
Just because I wanted to try them. The cat treats. I'm like, the cats love these. No, they were horrible. I think it was Valentine's Day night and I was feeling really sorry for myself, and me and my flatmate were sat in the house and I'm not gonna eat the cat treats. I'm such a weirdo. But eating, if I plan things, and again, this is why I've done the prep diet things, because having my busy lifestyle and having someone else make these meals for me so that they're there, it helps me eat a healthy, nutritious meal that is like built for calorie control with all the macros and everything that you need so that you're eating well. That's really helpful for me when I'm busy. So I've got my lunch and I've got my dinner and I just need to sort out breakfast, and I buy fruit to snack in between. And I find that helps me with my eating and avoids the binge eating.
Yeah.
But I have to be prepared.
Yeah.
If I'm not prepared, that's where it all falls.
That's the thing.
That's where it all falls down.
Yeah. I think for me, like, it's never really been that whole, I don't know if anybody who's listening might just have this preconceived idea that bulimia is just like these huge binge purge cycles. And for me, that wasn't really the case. So
I guess that's something in my head that I would have associated with.
I mean, it is.
With bulimia,
it is, but I think,
big purges.
Yeah, but then, but that wasn't really me.
But that's not the case for everyone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So for me, it was more the decision after eating. Like,
so you wouldn't have thought about it beforehand?
Not necessarily. There are things that I wouldn't have been able to do. For example, if you were to say, let's go to an all-you-can-eat buffet, then I would be fairly certain that I wasn't going to be able to keep that down, to be honest. But like, in terms, it was more, especially in my teen years, you know, being at home. Sorry, it's hard to get the words out, and I'm trying to like think about it as I'm saying it.
Yeah.
Like, it was more that I guess it was this idea that I didn't feel very in control of anything, which obviously now we can understand all of these feelings of ineptitude and fear, not just the teenage feelings. We're also ADHD. And so it would be the kind of normal, like a normal dinner. And I think at times when I was obsessed with losing weight, you know, you still have to sit down with your family, or eat dinner at your friend's house or whatever. So you're in this position where you have to eat, and then it was that. But often it really was just as straightforward as, and this is where the impulsivity comes in. It would be the idea comes to you. The ideas come to me. Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? And as soon as the idea has come to me, then it's as good as
That's
done.
decision made.
That's decision made. And yeah, like I know my own triggers, but like now, you know, I am more careful about what I eat, and it's about being present and like being conscious for me.
Yeah.
Is like, I am still going to treat myself, you know, but it's like not letting the voice come in and say the thing, not even entertaining the suggestion. And I know that it's always there to a degree, but actually it makes me feel good that I'm almost preempting it and saying no, or something like that.
Of course.
I don't know. It's all still very, very complex, you know, and I suppose there's an argument to say you're only one thought away, but like, I feel like I can control it now that I understand it more. And especially when I see stats like we've just read in under, like, how many pennies are dropping, you know, it's in it across the board with things like drinking, or, you know, for me, like working in, you know, and whatever, like money, all of these things that we've been drowning in shame and making sense now. And now you can make sense of it and have the awareness. And it's, you know, being kinder to yourself and not just acting on impulse because you're feeling these bad feelings.
And that's exactly it, with the understanding that comes along with the ADHD diagnosis. It does make things a little bit easier because you know why you're doing things.
Yeah.
And that why can help you control the impulses and everything that comes along with that so much easier.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it can still be difficult, but it helps.
I think it's in rationalising your own thoughts. So it's like you could have a thought and then you'd be like, but I know why I'm thinking this. It's just like another level of awareness that works as like a bit of a safety net, I suppose.
Yeah.
But, you know, people who struggle with eating disorders say that, you know, it never truly leaves you. And so I have to keep an eye on it. I have to try and look after myself, make the right decisions, and I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like, eating disorders are very, very serious, and anybody that is struggling with disordered eating in any form, please do get the help that you need.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There is lots of help out there. So don't be afraid to speak up.
So we have got a very exciting guest joining us next week.
Yeah.
Who is an expert in this, in telling us how to motivate ourselves.
Yeah.
Because not only is she a nutritionist and personal trainer, she is also ADHD.
Yeah.
Late diagnosed ADHD. And she will be coming on to tell us her story and to help us, you know, stay motivated, look after ourselves, make the right decision, and do loads of exercise. Yeah. Hopefully.
I'm very excited about this.
Very, very excited about it.
I'm looking for any help and motivation that can help me on my journey to be healthy and happy.
Yeah, and that's what she does. She's really fantastic at what she does. Her name is Hannah Baxter, and I actually went to school with her. She's year above me at school, so I have another Norwich person.
This is going to be a catch-up. I maybe should sit this one out.
No, she's year above me at school. But yeah, we're really, really looking forward to having her on.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, I honestly, I'm RSDing so hard about this episode already. I'm so worried that I've upset people, that we've said the wrong thing, we've used the wrong terminology, we've put our foot in it. And so I just want to say, please remember that we are just two women with ADHD, recently diagnosed, finding our way and trying to figure out what the hell's been going on. And we are learning and we're sharing what we're learning. So if we have said something wrong, we're sorry, and, you know, please, understand and show some compassion that we're doing our best, and our goal is to help, not to hurt.
Yeah, 100%. We're trying to do our best to say the right things and offer the right help to the people out there. So yeah, we don't want to upset or hurt anyone in the process, and we are just speaking from our experiences. And that's all we can ever do. Yeah.
So if you have enjoyed this episode, I haven't. It's been excruciating and I'm still not convinced it's very good. I feel like I just zoned out every time I talked. I don't even know what I said. But if you have taken anything away from it, We would really appreciate your support in forms of in the form of a donation, if you are able, to our Buy Me a Coffee page, which is ADHD as female. No, buymeacoffee.com/ADHD as females.
Yes.
So it's got nothing to do with coffee. It is just a donation page where the money goes towards the outgoings for the podcast to keep us going, and for some exciting stuff coming up in the future. So we really appreciate everyone who has donated, and if you are unable to do so, you can still help us massively get the word out there to, round up the troops and bring the community together by liking, sharing, saving any of our social media posts. Commenting on them even really helps us in the algorithm and all that. And
leaving your reviews on Apple, giving us stars. All of these things really help spread awareness and get the word out there.
Yeah, sharing our posts or any or the podcast even on social media support groups for ADHD where we can't self-promote. So anything like that, we really, really appreciate it. And we want you to use your voice.
Yes, we do.
So please do send us your submissions of 1 minute.
And 1 minute only.
1 minute
all
only.
We can take.
We've literally just had a submission saying, I have ADHD, so I can't do it in 1 minute. It's like, so do we both. It's hard. It took multiple attempts, but that's the rules and we have to stick to it. So 1 minute submission per person by voice note or video sent to our DMs, and we will use them to either put in the podcast or make reels and just give everyone a voice and have their say, because we need to be heard.
And don't worry if you can't get the full minute in. Like, I struggled with that. Mine's is 30 seconds long. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 10 seconds long or if it's, 59.9999.
Yeah.
As long as it's within that minute, that's what we're looking for.
And we can't wait to hear, and we really hope that people will get behind it so we can make some serious, much needed noise.
Yes. And Laura?
Yes.
What's the most ADHD thing you've done this week?
Oh my God, I bloody forgot again. What's yours?
I don't know.
Oh no! Okay, I've got a good one. So basically I have just exhausted my brain. So I'm thinking about things, spinning too many plates. And what it's done is I'm basically exhausting myself.
Yeah.
So by the afternoon, I feel physically exhausted and I can't move for a bit. And then by the evening, what's happening is after I've actually allowed my brain to shut off, had some dinner, watched some TV, chilled out with my husband for a bit, then I've got the energy again.
Yeah.
And then I get a second wind and I can crack on and do stuff. But I'm just not. So in short, it's not a very fun or entertaining or interesting one, but I think it's important because I think a lot of people will be doing the same, is that in sort of ignoring my own basic needs, I'm completely depleting my own energy. And actually I need to sort of factor in those things like have a break, have a cup of tea, get a breath of fresh air.
Yes.
And then I would continue to have energy throughout the day, whereas instead I'm just so and this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and then I collapse in a heap by about 4.
Yes, you need to look after yourself.
Yes.
What's the most ADHD thing I've done this week? Well, first of all, I can't remember if I've already done this we spoke about this in an episode or not.
Which therein would then be the most ADHD thing you've done this week.
So if I haven't, then that's good. But if it's still ADHD AF. We were sat in here the other day and I can't remember what we're talking about.
We were putting holiday into the calendar.
That's right.
So
And
I've
I've got a wall planner and I was putting Laura's holidays on the wall planner, and as I went to write them, I just stopped and turned around and looked at her.
Stared at me blankly, and I'm telling her the dates again, what?
And I just said, I've forgotten your name.
She legitimately, completely forgot my name.
It just went. And the best part is on the wall planner, I've got a little colour codes because I've got different colours that I use for each of us, whether it's for both of us, whether it's just for me or whether it's for Laura. And it's there. It's written. Laura's name is written there. She's purple. It's there. But yeah, it just left my brain and
Yeah.
it was nowhere to be
We
seen.
literally have known each other since like March, April of 2021. And for the last 3 months, we are basically in constant conversation about
Yeah.
the podcast. So
Yeah, for
That
your
is
name,
the most
for your
ages.
name to just leave my brain is
it's
just.
completely staring at me with this blank expression. I was just like, what?
And if I can't even
forgot your
remember,
name.
but this is the thing, if I can't even remember the people that are so close to me, then I've got no chance remembering like someone I've just met's name. Like I don't, like the name goes in my brain and then immediately vacates.
It's so funny because I always forget names, but I never forget a face. I always forget names. So
Same.
what I always do, especially like obviously in Ibiza, you're always bumping into people in various states and whatever else. I would just be like, if I was with someone, I'd be like, oh, hi, have you met? And then just say the person who's next to me and then hope that they get the cue to then ask them their name
I
without
do that.
me saying
I do
it.
that. I do that.
Yeah, but then even worse if you've actually forgotten their name too. Just say,
Yeah.
have you two met? And then sort of stand back and hope for the best.
Yeah, I do that all the time. Guilty as charged. It's terrible though. I'm the same. Like I'll remember a face but not names.
Yeah.
I stood next to a girl on the street once that I bumped into that I used to work with, and she swapped numbers with me so that we could meet up for a drink sometime. I just put her name in my phone.
I hand them the phone. Here you go, put yourself in.
I know.
I've done that
well,
before.
I wish
yeah.
I'd done that, but what I did was just put her name as the place that we used to work because I'm like, I know where I know you from, but I have no idea what your name is.
Well, the funniest is me because I always say matey.
Yes.
Because I can never remember anybody's
confuses
name,
me
and it
so
really
much.
confuses you because I'll be like, matey from Aberdeen Live, matey from Instagram.
But
matey
sometimes you don't even tell me where they're from. You're just being like, matey. I was speaking to him today, and I'm like, which matey? There's so many of them. And when you first started calling them matey, I thought someone was actually called matey, and I was so confused.
It's the way you say matey.
What?
You
Matey.
sounded quite posh. You're like, there's so many mateys. There's so many posh.
No, that's because in Scotland we don't pronounce our T's. So if I said matey the way that I would actually say it up here, matey. That's how I would say it, matey. It's the same with Katie.
Yeah.
Anything with T's in it, like
well, we had that, didn't we? Also,
Yeah.
just again, complete tangent. The dictation, your name comes up as Don if you say it in a Scottish accent.
so annoying. Like in English, my name is Dawn.
Dawn.
Dawn, but in Scotland it's Dawn,
Yeah.
which sounds really similar to the way I say Dawn.
Don. D-O-N.
D-O-N.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get that all the time. I've had it my whole life and emails from people being like, hello, Mr. Dawn. And I'm like, it's Dawn!
Dawn. On that
Like,
note, let's
D to the A to the W to the N.
We are talking absolute nonsense now. Let's
Yeah,
leave
let's
these people
go.
in peace. Goodbye.
We just needed to
all.
leave that little one, that hard-hitting episode with a little bit of a high.
Yes, whatever your name is, we appreciate you and we want you to take care of yourself and be compassionate with yourself and with others. And that's it, really.
That's
Use
it.
your voices. Hashtag it only takes a minute, ADHD AF.
It only takes a minute, babe.
That's enough.
Bye.
ADHD as females, ADHD AF, ADHD as females.